Hey guys, Sarah from Sweet Scents from the Dollhouse. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome. If you're a returning waxy, as always, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a wax cutting video. There's my cutter, the same cutting board I always use for cutting wax, as well as I always put a tea towel underneath to prevent from the banging noise. Today I'm doing a voiceover, so the reason being Ella is sick as a dog and so miserable, so I'm trying to do this without tons of coughing and cartoons and crying in the background. So I'm going to start by cutting up some Ava's Country Cupboard. The first one I'm going to cut up is Haunted Ice Cream, which is fried pastries, apples, caramel ice cream, scoop bread, and a hint of spice, which was poured in July of 2018. I apologize if you can hear the leaves and the crickets in the background. Doing a voiceover outside is the only way I can do this in peace and quiet. So in Ava's chunk bags you find these grubby hearts and grubby tarts. I'm not a huge fan of wax with black dye. I find that I pick up that scent and it's just really off-putting. And of course my coffee. With this, I'm not sure if it's the black dye that Lindsay uses, but I don't pick up the black dye. This is the one first occasion I can melt black wax. Based on the color, I'm guessing that she doesn't put an exorbitant amount of the black dye in. Sometimes when vendors put too much black dye, it's just overpowering. But this is a nice, almost charcoal gray color, so perhaps that's why I don't pick up the black dye. I cut these grubby hearts into threes. There's two larger chunks, which I melt just singly, and then the smaller of the three I use as blenders. This scent is fabulous on its own, but it's amazing blended with other scents as well. The grubby tarts I just cut in halves and I melt those on their own. Comment down below, what are you guys doing this Thanksgiving weekend? If you're in Canada, I know in the States you guys don't celebrate Thanksgiving until November, I believe. I always save 3 or 4 of the chunks or grubbies or whatever come in a bag, and then I share them as a whole shape in my friend mail. So that's why you'll see me cut up most, but not all. You guys can hear the birds. Trust me, it's a heck of a lot better than hearing super monsters at top note and coughing miserable toddler. Then I package everything back up and it's ready to melt. The next one that I'm melting is buttercream maple zucchini. No scent notes there because it's pretty self-explanatory. These are in a beautiful cream and like off-white or ivory color. And the same thing, I pick out a bunch to leave as is for my friend mail. And same thing, I cut the grubby hearts into threes and the tarts in half. You also have to figure out what works best in your space. Like there's no method to my madness. I've just been melting Ava's for a couple months now and know how much wax I require in my space for a good scent throw. So you might decide that you need to melt a whole tart in your space or half of a heart. You just kind of got to play with it because everybody's scent preferences are different, everybody's environment is different. You really have to work out what works best for you. I used to be really particular about washing and cleaning my blades and boards in between every single scent. Now, not so much. Depending on the scent, really. If I'm chopping overly floral or perfumey scents, I usually clean up before I switch to a bakery. But because this is all Ava's, it's all bakery, I'm just gonna swipe my cutting board clean or free from bits, as well as my blade, and move on to the next scent for the sake of saving time. This one is Wild Berry Cream Cheese Zucchini. Again, no scent notes required because that's self-explanatory. This came with 2 of these loaf grubby shapes. I melted one and I didn't get a really good scent throw off of it. I melted it in my bedroom, so that could be why, because it's a very large dynamic space. So I'm going to cut this one into thirds. I believe I chopped the first one into fourths and melted it in a large space. I'm going to chop this into thirds this time and try and melt it in smaller spaces because it smells divine. This one was also poured back in May of 2018, so I know it's fully cured, but I'm just surprised. This is probably the lightest Ava's scent that I have encountered so far. Delicious. Ava's does bakery amazing, but it's just on the lighter scent. So the next one that I'll be chopping up is Ava's Country Cupboard's Coconut Pumpkin Latte. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it's the latte fragrance oil that she uses that I'm not such a fan of. Certain latte scents come off as like really dry, like stale graham crackers. I don't know what it is. I finished the first pinwheel tart, but I discovered that I like it better as a blending scent if I put something sweeter in there. So I'm cutting this into fours and we'll mix it with other things. Again, this is totally about scent preference. I just find that certain latte fragrance oils, I find a lot of the Better Home & Gardens latte blends are smelling like dry, stale carbs to me for some reason. The next one that I'm cutting up is Ava's Caramel Apple Campfire Marshmallow. Smells divine. This was just poured in August, so I don't think it's quite cured yet, but it's definitely well on its way. I'm hoping to melt this by the end of October, the beginning of November. I've never cut one of these leaf shapes, so here you can see I'm trying to figure out what the best way to cut it is. I find with Ava's less is more, so yeah. And it's tricky. I thought being that it was so thin, I haven't heated any of this Ava's up. Normally I don't need to, especially this one. I thought it was so thin that it would be easy to slice through. It's a little bit difficult. The camera is very shaky. Hopefully a stabilizer will fix that. But I think fourths is really nice, leaving me with some larger pieces to melt in my bedroom. And if it's too powerful for smaller rooms, easy enough to just break them in half. Maybe. I don't know. This one was pretty tricky to cut. Just kind of swiping away those bits. And I'm going to turn the board here and just cut on the other end. Again, because it's all Ava's, it's all bakery, I'm just winging it. This one is Pumpkin Crunch Cake Pops with cream cheese frosting. I also ordered the Pumpkin Crunch Cake Pops in her smaller pumpkin shapes, which were amazing. I'm more than halfway through those already, so I thought I should cut this up. They were poured at the same time, so I'm guessing this is well and cured. And because cutting this leaf tart into fourths worked well the first time, I'm just going to copy that again this time. This would be an amazing scent on its own, or as a blending scent. This mixed with like a spicy apple would be divine. Next up, we are going to cut up some of these Rose Girls chunk muffins. If you watch my haul for my August pre-order, I ordered the Halloween sampler, a bunch of these chunk muffins, as well as her chunk bags. I was so eager to get melting. I melted a couple chunks out of the chunk bags, and they weren't cured yet. So I will likely put them away for another month or two. The good thing about it is that they're great scents for both winter and fall. I melted October's first out of the chunk muffins, and it was fully cured. So I'm going to cut these up. The first one is Date Night, which is Twilight in the Woods, a Bath & Body Works type. Balayage, the shampoo, mixed with pink sugar. With these chunk muffins, I am by no means a pro at this. I'm still rather new to Rose Girls. I just kind of go with the flow, cut it into fourths. Also, based on how thick these chunk muffins are, I like to preheat them in the microwave. 10 seconds on the first side. I flip it and do 15 seconds on the top where all the like mini melters are stuck in there. And then I flip it over again for another 10 seconds on the first side, just so it's evenly heated throughout. And that seems to work best, but again, this is by trial and error. You have to figure it out because your microwave is a different power, age, whatever. Like everybody's microwave varies. So that's what works best in my microwave, without making it too soft like butter, because also keep in mind when you put these things in the microwave, you are cooking the fragrance oils out of them, so you don't want to overdo it, or you're going to have a less than scented wax tart. So again, I'm just still in the trial and error phase of Rose Girls. I just cut it up, making sure that I have big chunks for my larger spaces and small chunks for my smaller rooms. And then once they're cut up like this, it's easy enough to break by hand if you think you need less, or pick out 2 big chunks if you need more. So when I melted October's, it was fully cured and ready to go. Super strong, beautiful lavender scent, which made me very eager to cut these up and try using some of these in the month of October. Crumbly bits into the bag. And there we have it. This makes a hell of a mess, but it's oh so worth it. And again, I just flick the bits off my blade. The next one I'm going to be cutting up is Are You Ready for Some Football? This was one of my girl Amber's favorite blends from this pre-order. And the scent notes are vanilla crunch donuts, cinnamon apple, citrus, peach, raspberry, and clove. This one I was so unsure of when I ordered it, just because I'm not a big fan of spicy fruit, if that makes sense. Aside from apple, like cinnamon apple clove is okay, but citrus and peach raspberry, I was like, damn, what is that gonna smell like? I ordered 2 of them. I took a chance, ordered 2, and I'm so happy I did because I love this. It smells amazing. So as you can see, this is a hot mess, a bunch of different shapes, no method to my madness here, but ready to melt, and hopefully I will get a successful scent throw off this one as much as I did with October's. I love both these blends equally. I can't believe I'm doing this voiceover outside. Can you hear that motorcycle? The next one that I'm going to cut up is Tea and Crumpets, which is cup of cake, and the Tea and Cakes fragrance oil, which is black tea, orange, and almond cake. I am so upset with myself that I only ordered one of these. I think in August I was getting kind of burnt out on the Tea and Cakes fragrance note, so I was like, meh, I'll just try one. But I also took a break from Tea and Cakes for a couple months, and now I am so sad I only have one of these. The good thing about it is you can order Rose Girl's mini melters. Right now she has both the Tea and Cakes mini melters as well as Cup of Cake in her regular mini melter lineup. So for $15 I'll get 2 bags, $7.50 each, and I will try and recreate this blend myself. I think it's equal parts Tea and Cake to Cup of Cake. Also, I would strongly advise, even if you're not a super fan of tea and cakes, I wouldn't pass this one over necessarily because that yellow cake batter in the cup of cake fragrance oil makes it so different. Like, it's definitely identifiable as tea and cakes, but the yellow cake batter note takes it to next level bakery delicious. So don't pass this one over. It's not your average tea and cakes. Look at that. Even Miss Alabella loves it. Poor thing is so sick she probably can't smell a darn thing. But she's trying. My baby loves wax. Almost as much as I do. She was a little upset when I was recording this because she discovered that I had cut up those Ava's leaves. She'd always pull those ones out of my melting basket and say, "Mummy, tree? Mummy, tree?" Close enough, girl. So the next one I'm cutting up is the Crooked Broomstick, which I think was a brand new scent that Jenny created for the August pre-order. The scent notes are cedarwood, amber, jasmine, and vanilla sandalwood. I ordered 2 of these thinking that I would be in love with this. That's the thing about not being able to try or smell or even guess what these are going to smell like. Based on the scent notes, I thought I would be in love with this. But I get a very strange chocolate undertone to this one. See, she's giving me hell right here because I cut up her tree, which was an Ava's leaf. I'm not a huge fan of chocolate and home fragrance at all. I'm hoping once I warm this that chocolate undertone will go away and it will be more of a romantic earthy scent. But also immediately after I filmed this video, I started to melt this, and unfortunately the Crooked Broomstick is not cured yet, unlike October's. It's so strange. I need to figure out the method to the Rose Girl's madness. Like, did she pour all of this stuff in and around the same time? Or perhaps the fragrance oils in October's are just stronger or cure faster. I don't know, because each recipe for each different scent blend is so totally unique. They use different oils. It's really hard to tell one way or the other. So that's it, folks. Stay tuned. I've got tons more wax to chop up. Comment in the section down below, what are your fall favorites? Thanks for watching.